Welcome to Boystown. It's a beautiful sunny day today in the village of Boystown. And for our Facebook Live, we're actually going to be going through one of the most sacred buildings on campus, our Dowd Memorial Chapel, the Chapel of the Immaculate Conception. And this was the chapel designed by Father Flanagan for the children here to worship, for our Catholic children. And we're going to begin our tour of the chapel today in Father Flanagan's tomb. And right behind me is the final resting place of our beloved Father Flanagan. He passed away in Berlin, Germany in 1948 on a mission for President Truman, working with the war orphans in Europe. And he always said he wanted to be buried at Boystown. So President Truman had his remains returned to the village of Boystown, and then this tomb was created. His first tomb was across the chapel, a little small location. And Father Huck, when he was director, had this special tomb created in 1976 and had a new crypt created for Father Flanagan here. And this is open for the public to come out and visit. And we have information there on Father Flanagan's cause, if anyone would like to learn more about that, his pathway to sainthood. And this chapel is actually going through restoration, so you might hear some booming and going on above me, some crashing. A new roof is being put on. Father's tomb was damaged in the storm, and you'll see some of the workmen working around here. And this chapel is a living building here in the village of Boystown. Even though it's almost 100 years old, it was a place where boys and girls today worship, and for generations they've been coming here. And it's a very special place. And today I'm going to walk you through, give you a little bit of the history, and show you some of the beautiful artwork that's been created here in the chapel. And we're going to start off, and we're going to leave Father's tomb, and we're going to start walking into the original chapel itself that was built in 1941. You can hear some of the pounding going on up there. The gentlemen are working hard on getting the roof done for Father Flanagan's tomb. As we come into the chapel, this is a very unique chapel. This is the entrance doors here, and you get a chance to see this chapel. This, again, was designed by Father Flanagan in 1941 because he wanted a special place for the children to worship. And how it came about was there was a lady named Miss Marie Dowd from New York City. She saw the movie Boystown. She was inspired by the movie, wanting to help Father Flanagan. She wrote to him and said, "I'd like to give you money for a dormitory." And Father said, "I have just built 4 new dormitories, but we would love to have a Catholic chapel on the grounds." So Miss Dowd donated the funds to build this beautiful chapel. And it's dedicated to her memory and the memory of her family, her brothers and sisters and her parents. That's why it's called Dowd Memorial Chapel, in honor of Miss Dowd and the family members. And when Father Flanagan was designing this chapel, he said, "I would like it to be a Gothic design." So he worked with an architectural firm here in Omaha called the Daly Company. And they picked Indiana limestone to be the inside and outside of the chapel. And then everything within the chapel, Father Flanagan selected. And we have this beautiful tile floor, which is original to the chapel. It's all been polished and is prepared for the Easter season, which will be starting soon. These beautiful pews are all the original pews from 1941. During COVID, they were taken out and restored, and new flooring was put in underneath them. And as you come into the chapel, on either side, we have beautiful stained glass windows, again, created and designed by Father Flanagan. You can see some of them here. Each one of the panels deals with children's saints or saints that work with children. And we begin with the 1st century and go all the way to the 19th century here in the chapel. It actually took 2 years to have these windows completed. They are done by a firm in Minneapolis. And they're very unique images of saints and individuals, again, who worked with kids. And these were very important to Father Flanagan and the boys. And we have a booklet now that you can actually get a copy of the booklet. And it tells the story of each one of these saints. And when you look at their stories and what they did, it's just amazing what some of these children's saints did in their lifetime. And that's why Father Flanagan wanted that. He wanted role models for the children. And as we come by, there's a window for Saint Martin de Porres that we have in the chapel too. So it's a very diverse group of individuals that were selected. There's a series of saints right here that are kind of important to Father Flanagan in founding of Boystown. It's called our Irish window because we have St. Patrick and we had St. Columba, 2 of the Irish saints. And Father Flanagan often said St. Patrick was his role model because he helped to bring Christianity to Ireland through a peaceful manner. And it was Father Flanagan said, "I'm doing the same thing in America, bringing new ideas of enlightenment, working with children across the United States." So he always looked at St. Patrick as his role model. And we have the Stations of the Cross, beautiful Stations of the Cross. These were created at Notre Dame University. My Mrs. Cormandy, whose husband was also an artist at Notre Dame, and she did a lot of special projects here in the village of Boystown along with her husband for many, many years. And you can see at the ceiling here in the chapel, this chapel ceiling, the original one looked just like this dark oak, but unfortunately through renovations in the 1960s, the ceiling had been painted blue, if you can believe it. So old Father Peter, when he was our director, he said, we're going to return the chapel back to what it looked like when Father Flanagan had it built. So this is a brand new dark oak ceiling that was created by Father Peter back at that time. He had a group of people across the United States and locally donate funds to help restore the chapel back to what it looked like when Father Flanagan was here. And the chapel is used by our boys and girls just about every day. It's used for religious services, and it's open to the public to come and worship too here in the village of Boys Town. They do Mass at 11:40 Monday through Friday here in the chapel, and then on weekends also. And as we come along, we have some side chapels. We have a Mary Chapel over on this side dedicated to the Virgin Mary. And then we have the Boy Jesus Chapel over on this side. It's kind of hard to see. That's dedicated to Jesus as a child in the temple. And then we have kind of these little side areas of the chapel too. And then we have a series of windows on this side are religious men. And these are the religious men that Father Flanagan looked at as role models. You have St. Joseph, and then especially you have St. John Bosco. And St. John Bosco is a special individual that Father Flanagan wanted to recognize, because St. John Bosco created programs in Italy to work with homeless boys and has created a school. So Father Flanagan said, that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So that's why we have a prominent window of St. John Bosco in the middle. And then on the other side, we have St. Joseph in the middle too, representing fathers, because fathers are really important to Father Flanagan and the boys here. And we have some of the original confessionals. That's what we have here along the walls. And these were used by Father Flanagan, and they're still used today when we do some confessions here in the chapel. And I mentioned the Boy Jesus Chapel, and this is what we have right here. These were created in Italy, and these were installed by Father Hupp back in the 1970s. They're carved rosewood, and they represent Jesus in the temple. And Father Hupp wanted that so the boys and girls could see Jesus as a child here, representation in the chapel. And then we have our altar area. And the altar area, again, was recreated by Father Peter back in the 1990s when restoration took place, because our original altar was back, as you can see, where the tabernacle is today. And that was taken out in the 1960s when they did modernize the chapel after Vatican II. And then Father Peter wanted to bring it back. So that was all recreated by Father Peter. And then the new altar was created, and it's based on the altar from Notre Dame Cathedral. And again, it's used by our boys and girls here every Sunday for services, and then throughout the week, the boys and girls are here also. And then I'd like to point out our organ. And the organ is back here. And music was always very important to Father Flanagan. So the original organ was created and placed here back in 1941. And we had Flor Peters, the organist from Notre Dame Cathedral, come and actually do a first concert here. And this is our second organ. Another organ was donated to the home. And when it was created, the organist from Juilliard School in New York came and performed. And we actually had the organist from Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris come and perform too for the music here. So it's very important music for Father Flanagan, and that's where the choir for many years would perform. On this side chapel too, we have our religious women, because religious women were very important to Father Flanagan. Our center window here, right in the middle, is the Immaculate Conception. And Father Flanagan always had a special devotion to the Immaculate Conception of Virgin Mary, because when he was a child in Ireland, he was very ill one day, and his family believed he was going to pass away, and they had a statue of the Virgin Mary in their home, and they prayed for her for help, and Father Flanagan survived. So after that, that's why he had the Immaculate Conception to be his special saint and the benefactress of Boys Town too. That's why he was selected. And this chapel is a beautiful, unique piece of artwork that's here. Father Flanagan called it a prayer in stone. But the upkeep of the chapel is a massive amount of money here at the village of Boys Town. And because of that, a new society has been created. And it's called the Mary Dowd Society in honor of Miss Dowd, who helped to fund the original construction of the chapel. And today we have with us Grace. And Grace is here, and she's in charge of the Mary Dowd Society. And she's going to tell us a little bit about what the Mary Dowd Society is and why it exists today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grace Peterson. I work in development here at Boys Town. You heard Tom reference throughout his tour of Dowd the restoration, the projects that we're working on, Mary Dowd herself, and a little bit of history behind her. So this society was created on behalf of Mary Dowd. She back in 1940, wrote a very generous donation to Boys Town to build this chapel. Her only request was that it was named in her family's honor, and so we started the Mary Dowd Society here. Tom mentioned the roof over Father's tomb. That's one of the projects that we're kind of working on right now, and our hope is that this society can help to fund some future projects as they come. As you heard, this is an older building, 75 years, and so with that comes projects left and right, and so our hope is that the Mary Dowd Society will help beautify and the upkeep of the beloved Dowd Chapel. And Tom also referenced that this is a beacon of hope for our children here at Boys Town. They attend Mass here. We hold receptions for the school here. A lot of tradition and faith is practiced within these walls. And so it's important to us to upkeep that, not only for the community, but also for the youth here at Boys Town. In addition, the society helps to fund the Catholic education for youth here at Boys Town. And so between Father and his team and individuals that work here at Dowd Chapel, the society helps to fund Catholic education through the year and through their stay here at Boys Town. So if you attend Mass on Sundays, you may see these new envelopes. They've only been around for a few months now, but these are in the pews, and inside you'll find a brochure that explains a little bit more about the society, ways to give. You can give through the portal. We passed through a few of them here, but there are also giving boxes located throughout the chapel as well. So plenty of options to help support and join the society. And throughout the year, we also hold gatherings for members of the society to come together. We have one coming up in May. So if you join by then, you can get a behind-the-scenes tour of Boys Town, of Dowd Chapel. And so, we're excited to watch the society grow and see how it can help to support the upkeep and beautification.
And what the Mary Dowd Society is doing is fulfilling a wish from Miss Mary Dowd, because we have a newspaper article when she came to Omaha in 1941 for the dedication of this chapel. She said that she would love to see a caring society created that would help support Boys Town and Father Flanagan's ministry. So all these years later, we're finally achieving that goal that Miss Dowd asked us to do. And this chapel, again, as Grace said, is a very spiritual place for our boys and girls. We had just one story of one young lady. She came to us, had very troubled life, was lost in her life. One day she was sitting in the pews here, and she heard the choir sing and the music play, and the Holy Spirit came to her, and she said it totally changed her life. And we have another story of a young man that came here back in the 1950s, 11 years old. He had been in a lockup, actual jail for children, and they sent him here to live at Boys Town. And they asked him to be part of the Christmas pageant here in the chapel. So he got to walk down the aisle here dressed as an angel. And again, he said the Holy Spirit overcame him, and he became a lifelong supporter of the Catholic Church and actually became a deacon and had a family and a life, and all of that based on being part of in the chapel here and learning that spiritual part of his life. And Father Flanagan said he wanted the children to worship any way they wanted to. That was very important to him. So we carry that out here in the village of Boys Town. And the chapel and the projects that go on here are very important to it. And if you'd like to learn more about Boys Town, please go to boystown.org and learn how you can support and be a supporter of Father Flanagan's ministry and learn more about the Mary Dowd Society. So thank you for joining us here, and I hope to see you soon. It's beautiful weather here in Nebraska, so we hope to see you stop by and visit Boys Town and learn more about us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.